What's up, ladies and gentlemen? How we doing? Happy Monday to you. Yes, they do exist. So coming to you live once again, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, LinkedIn Live, most recent edition. Really excited about that. Fire that way up, LinkedIn. The ability to go live, sure, there's technical difficulties. I could completely agree with that. But the ability to capture a live audience, you got to be on your toes sometimes, but you also got to be open for, making an error or two or three. It just happens, So we got a lot going on over here at the Podcast Launch Lab. We are 4 weeks into our new funnel campaign, which has been fun and exciting. We've been running ads on Facebook. You may have even seen one of them. And we're just looking for folks that want to have a conversation about starting their podcast. So in between that, launching my monthly mastermind, which is a combination of existing Podcast Launch Lab students and also people that want to be involved in community, people that are starting a podcast and want to be involved. So today I'm going to do a training similar to the one I did a couple of weeks ago when I launched the mastermind, which is just simply how to start a podcast. Only thing different this time around is that I have put together, with the help of some friends, spent last week figuring out the world of challenges. And what a challenge it is to create a challenge. So finally got that put together, and it's going to be a 7-day challenge, how to launch a podcast without any equipment. So we're going to spend 7 days together. We're going to do a 15-minute Zoom training each day, give you a task, and we're going to workshop some things. And you're literally going to have everything that you need to start a podcast in 7 days or less. I say or less because there's always some overachievers in the crowd. And, hey, listen, you can start a podcast today. It's all up to you. It depends on how quick you want to go and take action. So I'm going to explain, take 2 minutes and explain that at the end. If you want to join, it's $10 and 7 days. So there's a phenomenal opportunity to spend 7 days with yours truly in a group setting with other like-minded individuals that want to start a podcast just like you. And it costs you $10 one time, $10. That's like skipping Starbucks for 2 days. So let's get right down to it. I don't know who's in the house here, but we're going to go take a look at the comments real quick. Lisa Zelenak's in the house. Lisa is actually the reason behind me even the thought entering my head of starting a challenge. So she called me about a week ago on a Sunday, and some people you're just willing to take their call because you know that good things are going to come out of it. And I'm glad that I did, because I ended up in a group of other fellow coaches and like-minded individuals that want to figure out the challenge world. And I thought we'll launch mine in the middle of the week, so that I've got a couple days to do things like this, like a training real quick. So I'm gonna deliver the value first, and then I'm gonna continue to deliver the value through the challenge, because we're gonna be able to continue this training for the next 7 days. So if you want to hang out with me for 7 days, we're gonna do Zoom calls every day, 30 minutes. Listen, I was trained by the best last week. I know how to get in and out of a meeting like that with up to 10 people. So we're gonna handle. I got all kinds of resources in the challenge too. So stay tuned. But first things first, let's say what's up to everybody. Ed Weinberg's in the house. What's up, Ed? How you doing? Lisa, you're the best. Yuri Choi's in the house. Yuri is a colleague of mine in the new challenge world, and she's launched her challenge today. So I'm really excited about that. The one and only Faith Photos in the house. Are you guys fired up, ready to learn about how to start a podcast? Listen, it's not that hard. The hardest thing with starting a podcast is actually you and the story and all kinds of the excuses that you come up with to say, I want to start a podcast, but shoulda, coulda, woulda. I just wrote an entire chapter in my book about shoulda, coulda, woulda, and how it just does not serve us, because none of those, no one cares about what you should have done. No one cares about what you could have done, right? And nobody cares what you would have done, right? People only care about what you're doing right now, but more importantly, they only care about what you're doing if it's going to serve them, right? No one cares, right? People are too concerned about themselves. So you've got to provide a tremendous amount of value. Well, how do I provide a value by starting a podcast? Listen, you know your audience and your community better than anybody. So you need to identify the pain points within your community and solve those. The conversations that are happening just here at the Podcast Launch Lab from our students that are starting podcasts, they're extracting their story of pain, of being in the valley and back to the top of the mountain, and back to the valley and back to the top of the mountain, telling their story for their community. Some of these people don't give a rip about the show ever becoming a raving success. I mean, who doesn't want their podcast to become a raving success? But that's not the reason you're starting a podcast. You're starting a podcast because you've got a story to tell and you're negligent to not tell it. Yeah, that's right. If you actually have a story and you don't tell it, that makes you a taker, in my opinion. And nobody wants to be a taker. So pay attention, grab a pencil and a piece of paper or a pen if that's how you roll. Don't be busting out the notes on the phone, all millennial style. Don't do that. Write it down. It sinks in a lot quicker. I'm going to share my screen real quick. Anybody else commenting? Big what's up to YouTube. What's happening YouTube? I'm so proud of that channel. Big shout out to Owen Video for helping me really, called me about 6 months ago. I was like, you're just doing it wrong, dude. It's just wrong. And I'm like, it's not wrong. You know, ego. Like YouTube channel's the best, right? We all think our YouTube channel is the best. And I was sitting there teetering on 325 subscribers and I'm about to hit 1,000. So not a big number, but hey, listen, how do you eat an elephant? You know, one bite at a time. Some would say with barbecue sauce. All right, let's get down to it. I'm going to share my screen real quick. I've got some slides here, and then I'm going to actually walk you through after we get through the slides. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments there. I ADD out, so I don't want to, like, if I see the comment, I'll respond back. And if it's a good question, I'm going to throw it up on the screen. So if you've got questions about starting a podcast or about the slide I'm talking about, feel free to drop a comment in there, and I'll do my best to answer them, but I'll get back to you either way, either during the training or right after, okay? So let's get right down to it here. Wait a second. Before I do this, I want to know where everybody's tuning in from. If you can drop a comment below in the comments. I don't care if you're on YouTube, you're on LinkedIn, you're on Facebook. Come one, come all. Go ahead and comment in the comments what city you're in, what country you're in, where you're tuning in from. I'm very curious to do that. I just want to say what's up to you. And I appreciate everybody that's tuning in. You guys could be doing a lot of things right now. It's Monday morning for some of you, Monday afternoon for some of you, and you chose to spend some time with me to better understand what you don't know that you don't know about podcasting. So let's get right down to it because I want to make sure that I over deliver. I want you leaving with at least 2 to 4 things that you did not know about podcasting before you leave this training. And then on top of that, okay, I want to continue to extend the opportunity to serve you for the next 7 days for $10. I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. The only downside is I've only got 10 spots available. So you got to get while the getting's. We're going to get to that in a second. Let's go down to it here. All right, who else we got here? Any more what's up? Any more? Orlando's in the house. Miami's in the house. We got lots of Los Angeles in the house. I'm shaking my desk and that makes my camera shake. A little bit too much Cuban coffee down here. All right, let's share my screen. Thanks so much for, what's up, Kate? When you launching that podcast, let's go. Los Angeles is in the house. Lisa, you're the best. As Lisa would say, love it, love it, love it, love it. Okay, let's get down to sharing my screen, and here we go. Little music. There won't be music through the whole thing. That'd be kind of cool, though, huh? I just bought a new electric guitar. Ask me if I know how to play it. I got the air guitar down, Pat. All right, here we go. All right, how to start a podcast. That's me right there. And I think you can still see me. I can't see me and the screen, but I think you can see me and the screen. So if you're asking questions right now, I'm not going to see them because I'm looking at the slide deck. So forgive me, but I will answer them to the best of my ability. And let's get down to it. First of all, let's just talk about the what of a podcast. Like, what is a podcast? So if we look back to 2002, when podcasts were originated, Apple created a podcast as a cast that was supposed to be played on an iPod. You heard me, not to be confused with an iPad or an iPhone, an iPod, which is now an antique. I hardly ever see them. I do see people occasionally when I would say at the gym, but when I used to go to the gym, I would see people with a little tiny square one, like on their clip. Oh my gosh, that's an antique. Anyway, that's where it originated from as an Apple product, and then it quickly grew into other platforms as podcasting slowly but surely became relevant. People first were like, huh? 2002, like that was early on for podcasts to be born, but Apple was, innovating at the time, and podcasting continued to expand. Now, if we look at the definition of a podcast, Google would tell us that a podcast is a digital file made available on the internet for downloading to a computer or mobile device, typically available as a series, new installments of which can be received by subscribers automatically. So you go to iTunes, you go to Spotify, you pull up Joe Rogan Experience, you click subscribe, you download some episodes. The reason that you download them to your phone is in the event that you don't have an internet connection, you can listen to them at a later date because you've got them in your podcast library. Okay. Quick note. I'm going to go through a tremendous amount of slides and absolutely fire hose you with information by design. I want your head full with knowledge about how to start a podcast. And then I want to help you dissect everything that you've taken in and unpack that so that you can convert to actually starting a podcast. Okay. Just footnote. So why? This is huge too. I just wrote another entire chapter in my next book, Podcasts Suck If You Don't Have One, coming out August 15th, God willing. The entire chapter was about your why. Why do you want to start a podcast? That's the number one question I ask people when they call me. Why do you want to start a podcast? Well, I think it'd be fun. That's not a good enough reason. Well, I think that my friends and I are funny when we get drunk. Terrible idea. Well, I think that, I want to make money. I want to make money. I want to launch a show, make money right away. More along the lines of, I want to start a podcast because I've got a story to tell. I've got value to provide to the world. One of the best things I could possibly do for humanity is get my message out, is tell my story. I can do that through a podcast. So why not do that, right? So get to the core of what your why is. Once you get clear about your why, you create leverage on yourself too, because once you're clear about your why, then it's your head, your heart's kind of in synced up because you've got that burning desire as to why you're doing what you're doing that motivates you to stick with it. Value, providing value to the world. If you have the audacity to share and boldness to share your story, you are in fact providing value to the world. When you provide value to people, they listen to you, they connect with you, they want to be around you, they want to hang out with you. Value it bridges the gap in between where you are and where you want to be with your business, with your brand, with your current customers, future customers, prospects, etc. It's about providing value. If you're a sales rep, or you're a financial advisor and you think about starting a podcast, every time you hang up the phone with a guy that's got 10 million that's thinking about moving it over to a different company, and they had a great conversation with you, great rapport with you, and they have the opportunity to go look you up, listen to your podcast, dig a little deeper into how informed and educated you really are, go look at your YouTube videos. You're building your own online resume in addition to selling yourself to them in person, right? So your personal brand in perpetuity is now your reputation. Think about that. It's definitely something to give thought to. And your personal brand is associated with books you write, podcasts you launch, videos you post on YouTube, live videos, whatever you choose to do. It is now in fact becoming your reputation. So providing value, very, very important. It's not about you. Never has been. Right, Bruce Turkel? Connection. I swear, the one of the number one lead sources for the Podcast Launch Lab is guests that I have on my podcast. For example, I have somebody that's cooler than me, smarter than me, has a bigger following than me on my podcast. And at the end, I just casually ask them if they have a podcast. And if they don't, chances are they're going to give me a shot when they're thinking about starting a podcast, or I've put a bug in their ear. It happens time and time again. My point with all this is that podcasting is a phenomenal opportunity to connect with people. If you own a sales training company and you want to target all of the CEOs and presidents of large corporations in your geographic area, and you want to interview them on your podcast because you want to ask them what their biggest challenges are regarding sales in their organization, and you can give them real-time advice and solve their problems right there on the podcast episode, you think that Joe or Jane, CEO or president, is not going to give you a meeting after you've had them on your podcast to stroke their ego and help them solve a problem? Once again, become a value add on here. Something to think about. I don't care if you're a sales rep, retail, you own your own business, a local business, landscaper, realtor, architect. Doesn't matter. You have the ability to create a story that complements what your brand does and what you do, and contribute to the fact that your reputation is in fact being sustained and developed through the content and the stories that you tell. Wild, wild world we're living in, isn't it? relationships. So the connections that you make, the relationships that you build. You don't know what's going to happen when you interview someone on your podcast. You don't know what's going to happen with the podcast once you launch it. There are so many opportunities to be able to monetize a podcast, affiliate programs, sell t-shirts, sell your own products. Of course, sponsorships and advertisement and all that good stuff is still readily available, but you've got to be able to build the show, build a community, and show social proof that you've got the downloads and the community around it. Until then, you make up the rules. That's the best part about it. Whole different training, advertising, and monetizing a podcast. So here's how it works. First step, okay? This is where you get your pencil and sharpen it. Or pen, if that's how you roll. Maybe a Sharpie. Maybe you draw like cartoons and whatnot for your notes. I know some people do that. Super cool. All right, step one, choose a name. Right now, this isn't like choosing an AOL screen name. This is choosing a name that complements your brand, okay? Try to stay away from the words podcast if you have to, unless you're really trying to define it define it or, separate it, but still include it with your brand, right? So if it's the Sebastian Rusk podcast, my company's SebastianRusk.com, the Sebastian Rusk podcast, it makes sense. It's an extension of the Sebastian Rusk brand. So find something that works, that flows, fits within your brand. Don't make it supercalifragilisticexpialidocious long. Make it simple, easy to digest, and something people can remember and that it makes sense. Now, listen to me. When you choose a name, call 3 to 5 people that are brutally honest, not your family. They lie to you. People that are brutally honest about their opinion. Does this name suck? Yes or no? And have people tell you. Of course, you can run a poll and ask everybody, but really go to the people that just absolutely just trash every idea you bring them, because for a good reason. Not just when I'm not talking about pessimist and negative people that are honest, creative minds, etc. But get honest feedback about your name. Step 2, get a mic. Listen, this does not require any type of fancy equipment like you're seeing right here. This isn't really like top of the line fancy. I mean, the whole studio is built out for about $800 equipment wise, but podcast microphones are less than $100. Last time I checked on Amazon, they were sold out because, well, the Rona, but you can definitely check for a USB mic. They'll run you anywhere from $50 to $120. Blue makes one, Blue Snowball and a Blue Yeti. They're USB mics. They plug right into your computer. Zoom recognizes them. Your computer recognizes them, and you're off to the races, and you sound professional. Now, don't trip if you don't have a budget to buy equipment, or you're like, they're sold out, I can't get them. What else do I do? You need to find a quiet place, like your closet or a room somewhere with carpet. You need to grab a pair of earbuds that come with your iPhone. If you're an Android user, you're on your own. I'm just kidding. Get a pair of corded headphones that have a mic too, and go to a very quiet place. You can use the voice recorder on your iPhone. I'm sure Androids have some sort of comparable option to be able to record like a voice recorder on here. Or even better yet, just download the Anchor app. We'll talk about that in a second here, but Anchor.fm allows you to do everything. So if you have a quiet place to record, really you don't need anything. If you really want to buy equipment, buy a USB mic. If you want to go up your game a little bit, go to podcastlaunchlab.com. Check out under Launch a Podcast equipment recommendations. Every single one of my recommendations is there, including the entire setup here at the Podcast Launch Lab. So I don't want to spend too much time on that. Let's move to the next step. Design your cover art. Now, this doesn't have to be complicated at all. If you sign up for Anchor, Anchor.fm is the website. It's a website to allow you to create a podcast, record a podcast, launch a podcast, create an intro, outro, transition music. You can even monetize it through Anchor. You can put an ad on your show. There's a plethora of things that can be done, including creating your cover art. So not something like this, something like you're looking on the screen right here, you can design in Canva, of which I did. This was an older version. I have a newer version that I had a designer go and do, but I at least started with this. Not bad for my first stab at it, but you want something that's presentable. That's my podcast, by the way, Beyond the Story podcast. Write that down. Download the show. Get yourself a mic. I already mentioned that, so that's cool. Duplicate slides are always cool. Just keep it going. Create your intro and your outro. Now, this isn't a must. Of course, you can just start your podcast episode with like, hello and welcome to the show, and do your intro before the episode. But most people like to create an intro and an outro. That way it's done. If you're feeling tech savvy and you're a Mac user, you can use GarageBand. If you're a PC user, you can use Audacity. You can record an intro. It sounds something like this. This is the Beyond the Story podcast, a show that goes way beyond the story.
And now, Sebastian Rusk!
So the goal of an intro is to get people excited about the show. And then the outro is to say, thanks for tuning in. Thanks so much for tuning into this episode of the Beyond the Story podcast. Be sure to appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, make sure you're subscribed to the show. This way you'll get updates as new episodes become available. Call to action. If you're so inclined, please leave us a review. Call to action. Sure to appreciate it. Signing off from the podcast, launchlab.com studios. We'll talk to you next time. I don't know. In my opinion, outros just make you feel good that you listen to the episode. Intros make you feel good that you press play and you're about to listen to the episode. That's the best way to describe that. Are they a must? Absolutely not. Can you create them in Anchor? Yes. Anchor.fm. They'll walk you through every step of the way. This will all make sense. I'll also send you my YouTube channel for some Anchor content too. All right, time to plan out your show. Now's the time to take out, well, not right now. You're taking notes on what you're learning right now. But when you go to plan your first episode, you're going to take out another clean sheet of paper, or I have a template called the show notes template that I can send you and email you that allows you to write the episode number down and the name of the episode. And then also 1 or 2 to 4 key points, and also a notes area for URLs and links and things that you mention on the show. So what this does is allow you to stay organized while you're recording the podcast episode, but then also as you're recording it, you're maybe add additional notes that you get from your guests. They say really cool things, or there's a link to their book or whatever the case is, and you capture all that in the show notes. So you originally sit down, plan your show, record the show, add anything relevant on there, and then after that's done, all of the information on that page then becomes the description for your podcast episode. So when people download the episode, within the description are the show notes, your link, your guest link, any relevant information. So that's your point of reference. So when you're doing the episode, you're like, and all that information will be provided in the show notes. That's the description in the podcast episode, wherever you're consuming this episode. Make sense? Sign up for Anchor. I knew this was in that deck. Sign up for Anchor.com. It is the easiest way to start a podcast. Everything you need, 100% free. Spotify went all in and bought, as they continue to play Pac-Man, to service providers within the podcasting space. They bought Anchor last year for some ludicrous amount of money. It was a phenomenal move by Spotify. They are clearly putting a stake in the ground, letting everyone know that they are going to be a leader in the podcasting space. If you didn't see the news about Joe Rogan going exclusive, that means he's leaving YouTube and every other podcast platform for $100 million, which sounds like a fair deal to me. But Spotify's going all in. That's the word I'm looking for. And they bought Anchor too. I love Anchor. I've got a podcast on Anchor. I don't keep that show up as frequently as possible. Shout out to the Roll Call podcast. But what happens is I'll go live on Facebook every now and then, talk about something motivating or encouraging, and then I'll turn it into a podcast episode called the Roll Call Podcast. I want to check out Anchor, but like I said, you can create a show, record a show, upload a show, edit a show, put transition music in, record your intro, your outro, even record an Anchor ad that goes on your podcast episode, and they'll pay you per impression. I've made like 40 cents in the past year. It's awesome. So record an episode. So if you've already downloaded Anchor or you've signed up for an Anchor account, now it's time to record an episode, because that's going to enable you to obviously have something to upload. My nose is crazy itchy. Sorry about that. Look how easy it is. So it's drag and drop. Record your episode, messages, library, transitions. You can drag and drop audio from here. You can record right from here. It'll recognize your podcast microphone without me dropping my microphone here. It'll recognize your microphone. You can record intros, outros, episodes. You can upload the episode if you recorded it on your phone and you want to upload it here. Really, really easy to do. And all of their steps and help are phenomenal too. So I walk you through every step of the way. If you have any questions about Anchor, holler at me. But they also have an app too. See this right here? You click that purple plus and you're recording a podcast episode before you know it. You can record an intro. This is your whole library of everything you have. And you can literally go put together a podcast episode on your phone. Like, are you reading this correctly here? Nuts. And you want to go tell people about it. I create things like this, which is
apps like Peace and Zen, and then just some other kind of smaller name ones.
This is an audiogram.
It all started a couple years ago. I had been doing spiritual life coaching, and I was making guided meditations that were totally.
This is my friend Marissa. She does voiceover work for meditation apps. How cool is that?
She's also a podcaster. Reaching out to me like, oh, well.
So this is an audiogram. I create things like this on apps like Headliner.app, and Headliner is free to use. They also have a paid version for like $12, but allows you to create an image with these squiggly lines and put some audio behind it. That way you can post it on LinkedIn and Instagram and Facebook, all that fun stuff. Very, very easy to do. You just have to sign up for Headliner and go through the steps in order to go and create it. Whoops. Who's this for? Who is this for? This is for marketers, entrepreneurs, people that know that their natural next step is to start a podcast. So speakers, authors, coaches, consultants, people of authority. If you have a community, an authority, a growing community, and you have a message to share, you've already written a book, or you're thinking about writing a book, or you just know that you've got this message inside you that you want to get out because it's going to provide value and then in turn benefit your business and brand for the better. Listen, start a podcast is a really fun way to grow your business. I mean, when we think business and fun, does anybody else want? I mean, what more could you really ask for, right? So these are some examples of the shows that we've launched over the years. Podcast Launch Lab has been around since late 2016. So about 3.5 years now, 3 and change. That's my old podcast show. Shout out to Shara Desmore's Moms on the Grind podcast. She's a realtor here in Miami. Started a podcast about being a single mom on the grind. And again, see that? Has nothing to do with real estate. She's a realtor, though. Complements her brand, provides value to a community. Think there's no other single moms out there, single moms that become realtors or are realtors or just want to associate with Moms on the Grind. My good friend Apollonia Ponte, she is a YouTube sensation. She literally is my friend. Prior to YouTube, I did know her and worked at the bank for years, worked her way up. There was nowhere else to go. And she's like, I need to follow my passion, which is helping men find the women of their dreams. So she started a YouTube channel about 2 years ago, and she's amassed over 400. Last time I checked, it was like 400,000 subscribers and growing, and absolutely exploded. And she helps men all over the world, literally try and resolve, not figure out women. That would be an impossible task, although that would keep them coming back. But she does provide them with as many resources as possible to find the girl of their dreams. So she has a YouTube channel, and I had her on my show because I was like, well, what makes you a love expert, Apple? And she's like, well, let me tell you. So I had her on the show, and she ended up telling me. And then after the show was over, like I mentioned before, I said, hey, when are you starting a podcast? She's like, chill out. I got a lot on my plate. No time for a podcast. I'm all in on YouTube. I'm like, yeah, but you have some videos. Check this out. You have some videos on your YouTube channel that have 1 million views on them. Like those are obviously popular topics. You don't think those are going to be popular YouTube or podcast topics? I said, listen, sleep on it and call me tomorrow. Let's figure something out here. You can totally podcast and be a YouTuber. So she called me the next day and she said, I got a name, The Female Algorithm. And I'm like, ding, 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 ding. That's it. So she ended up launching her podcast with the strategy that I gave her. Take her most popular episodes, slap an intro, an outro, maybe even talk about it. Throughout, talk about it on her YouTube channel, cross promote the YouTube channel on her podcast, which she totally does. So it works. The Post-Traumatic Survival Podcast, shout out to Ozzy Martinez Jr., disabled veteran, Marine, PTSD survivor, leveraged it, created a nonprofit, put his family and marriage back together, his serving vets through his nonprofit Operation Wet Vet. So came to me at the end of February, one of the first shows we launched when the Podcast Launch Lab studio opened. And he's been off to the races, man. He's been interviewing other like-minded individuals that have had similar stories to him and leverage it and done really cool things. So shout out to Ozzy and what he's doing here. So this is the Podcast Launch Lab right here. Looks a little different now. I've put some, that chair doesn't go there anymore, but you get the idea. We've moved some furniture around, feng shuied the place up a little bit to make the Podcast Launch Lab an actual place to go. The clients that are local, they can swing by and record their show and sign up for us to help them start their podcast, etc. Or, we help people literally all around the world. I've got somebody in Bangkok right now. I've got 2 digital nomads. Shout out to Lynn Howard. I got somebody in, I just did a coaching session for a month in London, right outside of London. People find you all over the world. So podcasting is growing all over the world. Here's the thing. There's only 1 million podcasts. That's it. There's only 1 million podcasts. I know that seems like a large number, but there was only 800 podcasts up until, the end of last year. Now, when we think about and compare that to YouTube creators, there's 15 million YouTube creators and growing. 15 million YouTube creators. I mean, 15 million channels. There's 1 million podcasts. Do you understand the difference? So I want to talk to you about the 7-day challenge, because if you're learning something right now about starting a podcast, if you learned something over the past 30 minutes, wow, on the money, 29 minutes, the past 29 minutes about starting a podcast, and you're excited, you have this inclination inside you, like, holy cow, this is easier than I thought, then I want to invite you to consider joining my 7-day challenge. It's how to launch a podcast without any equipment. You don't need equipment. You don't need anything. Seriously, you do it with an iPhone 6. Stop Googling it. So the 7-day challenge, I'm going to run through it real quick here. I'm going to stop sharing my screen because I want to go back to the camera. Let's see here. Stop sharing. There we go. What's up, everybody? Okay, cool. Fabiola, what's up, Long? The LBC's in the house. Sean Loney's in the house. What's up, dude? What's up, everybody? Thanks so much for tuning in. I appreciate you guys. You guys rock. Any questions so far about what we've covered? Because what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go over. I'm going to give you a preview of what the 7-day challenge looks like, and then I'm just going to give you a link, and everybody can go nuts and sign up. How's that sound? I'm telling you, we're going to start this thing in 2 days. Wednesday morning, 11:30 Eastern Standard Time. This thing starts. And we're going to do a Zoom call, kind of like this setting, but everybody's going to be in the same room, okay? And we're going to go over what the task of the day is. I'm going to give a 10 to 15-minute lesson, and then we're going to go over the task together. I'm going to answer any questions. We're going to workshop some stuff. We're going to team up, find some accountability partners for the challenge. So, hey, listen, accountability is important because when you just don't feel like doing it, and then you got your accountability partner calling you and going, hey, how's the challenge coming along? It's very, very important. So I couldn't dodge accountability this time around putting together my challenge. So I'm going to design mine as such too. Okay, let's go to sharing a screen here. Looking for the preview. Whoops. So while I'm looking for my challenge page here, there we go. Let's see if anybody has any questions here down here in the chat. YouTube, what's up? LinkedIn, what's happening? Facebook, so great. StreamYard, what a great tool. You can stream from all 3 places. Well, the paid version, you can stream from all 3 places simultaneously, and then you have a dashboard to tune into. Super cool. Oh, by the way, if you're watching this right now and you're like, holy cow, this is really cool. I know someone that would like this and could totally benefit from this. If you're watching this on LinkedIn or you're watching this on Facebook, please share this and tag me so I'll get notified so I can thank you for doing it later. But share this with someone you may not want to join the 7-day challenge, but someone may want to. I'm going to run everybody through it. We're going to take another 10 minutes here. I'm going to give you the link after that to sign up for the challenge. And then we're going to be done like dinner. And you can reach out if you have any questions about starting a podcast. You can send me an email, message me, whatever you'd like to do. Sound good? Okay. Let's see here. I want to share my screen again. Okay, here we go. All right. So this is the challenge right here. 7-day challenge, launch a podcast without any equipment. Okay. 7-day podcast challenge will enable you to finally get that podcast launched. This challenge is not just about podcasting. It's about learning how to discipline yourself and avoid procrastination. Okay. We need about maybe 45 minutes max per day. I mean, I'm talking total. So that's 30 minutes for our training Zoom call, workshop, etc. once a day, and then another 15 minutes to complete the task and work on what you've got to. It's going to take us a week to do that, 7 days. It's $10. Okay. So it's a little bit over $1 a day. Skip Starbucks for like a day. Okay. You know, you spend $10 at Starbucks. Skip Starbucks or don't splurge. Get yourself some Starbucks and join the challenge too. Benefits. You're going to learn how to start a podcast. You're going to learn how to record a podcast, and you're going to learn enhanced knowledge of podcasting, and you're going to learn how to get your podcast on iTunes and Spotify. You're going to learn a little bit more about Anchor too. I've integrated my YouTube channel and some past content I've created into each day's task. So we've got live, we've got group, we've got resources, and then you've got tasks to go and do on your own before we connect on the next call. And it's back to back to back, 7 days straight. So really exciting. I just got out of one. It's really exciting. You make some friends too. It's totally cool. So here's what you'll get. So you want to do this if you're curious about starting a podcast. You're finally ready to commit. You want to skip this if you just kind of want to start a podcast. You're just wondering. You're just kind of looking into it. You're not willing to commit to a 7-day challenge. You refuse to give up procrastination, or you're just plain lazy. It's okay. Let's just call it what it is. Okay. So if you're just lazy and you don't want to do it and you'd rather procrastinate, this is not the program for you. You need a smartphone or a computer. You can complete each task with the app for the challenge on there. And it includes an awesome supportive community, like-minded individuals, a daily lesson, daily task, launch list, equipment hacks, show template, podcast setup, podcast hosting as well. And you'll be able to choose your date and sign up as soon as I give you the link to do so. So if we look at prep, so when you sign up today and join the challenge, it's going to start on Wednesday. So all the prep items are things that you're going to be doing before the challenge happens. So I'm going to have you read something. I'm going to have you read another thing. And then I'm going to have you make sure you download Zoom if you don't already have it. And also I'm going to ask that you bring an open mind to the first day and for all 7 days, because the more open your mind is, the more possible things it is for things to actually happen. Number one, if you're bringing an open mind, you're then contributing ideas and good, juju to the group to be able to encourage others. Remember, as a group setting, we're all doing this challenge together. We feed off each other based on wherever we're at in the podcasting journey. All of us will probably be in the same spot, which is just getting started. So day one, here's what to look at. Why podcasting? You'll watch a couple videos, and you'll have a task, which will mainly be videos, and then a tangible thing you can actually go and do, like go choose your podcast name. Right. And the next day you'll post it and you'll share it with the group, and we'll talk about it and you'll tweak some things. Day two, we're going to talk about day two is all about procrastinating, very little about starting a podcast other than how to record a podcast remotely, because the reason I included this in the lesson is because you eliminate procrastination and your excuses about recording with someone, like, oh, I want to wait till I'm with Sally in the same place or we're in the same location. Completely unrealistic, because, well, the Rona, number one. Number two, just unnecessary, because you don't need to, because we have technology. So we're going to talk about procrastination on day two and recording podcasts remotely. Day three, we're going to sign up for Anchor. We're going to do this together. I'm going to show you how the account works and how you can create a podcast literally while we're in the lesson and answer everybody's question. And then your task going to go to create an Anchor account yourself after the lesson. And then that way you got your podcast account set up. Now we're time to get rowdy, start creating an episode, start recording. Day four, podcast and interviews. So depending on what kind of show you're going to have, maybe you're going to be a talking head. I don't know. Maybe we're going to interview people. We're going to help you better understand what exactly you need to do and how to interview people. And there's a certain structure in order to interview people. It's not set, but I at least want to get a lot of questions. Sebastian, how do I interview someone? So I want to be able to, in all fairness, provide that resource. I've got a video on here to how to conduct a podcast interview. By the way, all this information regarding videos, all the videos are going to be included in the challenge, are on my YouTube channel as a bonus. So make sure you subscribe there at youtube.com/podcast launch lab. Day five, reflect on procrastination. Now, it's been a couple days since we talked about procrastinating. Have you procrastinated during the challenge? How has that served you? Now we're going to time to work on the show. I'm going to give you a show notes template. Like I explained earlier, when you plan out your show, episode name, 2 to 4 key points, notes, URLs, etc., and then complete your show notes for episode one. It's getting real. So episode one, once you got your show notes down for episode one, it's time to record. Let's record some episodes. So once you record those episodes, it's going to be time to post them. So all that's going to be done through Anchor. So record. As soon as they're done recording, you edit them up and they're ready to post. That's why they're all combined in here. And then day 7, we're going to have, I'm still working on the final information on here, but there's going to be some resources in here. I start a podcast and whatnot. We're going to reflect on the week, and then we're going to focus on, congratulations, but don't stop now. Okay. So how to beat procrastination ongoing. All right. So let's see here. Let me move back to, okay, we're back. What's up, party people? What's up? Thanks for tuning in. Everybody. I really appreciate it. Thanks for the comments. Long Beach. We got people tuning in coast to coast here, ladies and gentlemen. All right, let me share the screen to give you the link to sign up. Oh, it is. I know how to use this thing, I promise. There it is. Okay. 7-day challenge, how to launch a podcast without any equipment. This is a URL shortener that I've used. Really, daily training, daily task, network with other podcasters. You'll finally start a podcast. Remember, you're going to spend 30 minutes with me every single day. So for $10, one time, $10, I'm not kidding. This isn't a joke. $10 one time, you'll be able to spend 30 minutes with me every single day and other podcasters, and then have everything that you need in order to start a podcast. How's that sound? Here is the URL. It's bit.ly, bit.ly/podcast challenge 1. bit.ly/podcast challenge 1. Those are all lowercase, by the way. So it's bit.ly, bit.ly/podcast challenge 1. All lowercase on the podcast challenge 1. That'll bring you right to this page. Let me see here. That is going to bring you to this page. Please hold. which will look like this. Okay, it's going to look just like this. Here we go. Okay. So it's going to look just like this. And you're going to see this preview page. And then you're going to click join the challenge. And you sign up. And you will be off to the races. Okay. All right, cool. We got this wrapped up in less than 40 minutes. Anybody else have any questions? Right? Faith, $10. What? I look forward to having you in the group. Faith Photos in the house. What a rock star photographer. Everybody else that's tuned in here, thanks so much. Fabiola, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for tuning in from Long Beach, California. Hope you can join us for the challenge here. Actually, let me pull this link up and drop it in the chat, and I'm going to try to see if they'll let me do it. Last time I kept on kicking my post back. Lisa, if you're still on, can you post this comment? It should be there. Podcast Launch Lab. That's on YouTube. Let me see here. I'll go and post the link on Facebook too. If you're watching on Facebook right now, let's see. Yeah, I'm trying to. I'm using StreamYard, so it only lets me do comments on one specific place. Let me see here. We get a little hack going on here. You know what? Here, let me share my screen. If you're watching this on Facebook, okay, share this link for me. There we go. Oops, this link right here. Oh, just kidding. It's this one right here. I know how to use StreamYard, I swear. All right, here we go. Here is... There it is right there. Okay. Vimify.com/NVQ75, or the one I just gave you works too. The bit.ly/podcast challenge 1. Neither of the URLs. I tried to set up a URL forward right before the broadcast. It did not go well. So anyway, we'll get back to domain forwarding later. This is the link that you'll sign up with. It should be in the comments at some point. I'm going to repost it again. I think Lisa posted it on my Facebook page. I posted it on YouTube and LinkedIn. I'll go in there and post it for you to be able to sign up. I've only got 10 spots available. It's going to be a great time for the next 7 days. We start Wednesday morning at 11:30. I'm so excited, and you should be too, because you'll be one step closer to starting a podcast. Okay, listen, procrastination doesn't get you anywhere. If you can sit down and evaluate the last time putting something off really got you from where you are to where you want to be, I don't think it's going to happen, or it has happened rather. So the time is now. Oh, wait, hold on a second. That's where I can put. Oh no, just it says all this. Oh, maybe I did post it on all of them. I'm not sure. Anyway, I'll be doing that in a second. There we go. There we go. All right, cool beans. Make sure there's a preview on there. Lisa just posted it right in there. Make sure if you're watching this on Facebook, you can click, you can join, and let's do this. Podcasts suck if you don't have one, but you're about to have one. It's 10 days, $10 to spend 7 days with a group of other podcasters. This is going to be really fun. It's kind of like summer camp, but we're starting a podcast. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, that's my time. I want to let you guys get back to your Monday here. I really thank you so much for being attentive to my training today. I really hope you're leaving with at least 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, 6 things you didn't know about starting a podcast. And I really hope you continue this journey with me to start your podcast, because we're doing a 7-day challenge, ladies and gentlemen. We're living in this challenge world right now. Yeah, challenging times, but it's also a time to join a challenge and challenge yourself. Dig deep. Start doing what you haven't done before. Start getting what you haven't gotten before, right? The time is right now. Stop with the excuses on where we're at and the pandemic and my kids are home. And listen, where there's a will, there's a way. Okay, you can do it. Okay, maybe somebody needs to tell you this today. Yes, you can. All right, I'm going to go ahead and give you permission. If someone hasn't done that in a long time, if you've never heard that, I'm going to give you permission to tell your story and provide value to the world. I believe in you, and you should believe in yourself too. You got a community around you that you may or may not know about yet that want to hear your story, right? They want to change their life because they want to change their mindset because of your story and what you've done. So you can do that by starting a podcast. If you got any questions, reach out to me, srusk, SRUSK, at podcastlaunchlab.com. I'd be happy to answer any questions. You're watching this on YouTube or LinkedIn, on Facebook, drop any questions in the comments below. We'll get back to each and every one of you lovely people. Once again, thanks so much for tuning in. I appreciate you guys. I'll see you real soon. I can't wait for the challenge. It starts on Wednesday. The link is in the comments wherever you're watching this, or just message me. Hey, Sebastian, where's that link? I want to join the challenge. I'm ready to go. I can't wait to have you, and I can't wait to hear about your show. The world's waiting for you. All right, let's get started.